Hi, folks. How is everybody doing? How is everybody doing? I really encourage you to go watch the videos, the last three videos that I've made. That will be episode 14 and 13. Excuse me, episode 114 and 113 and 112, which speak about energy policy actions that I would put in place if I were to be so blessed to be in the government of South Africa, and how those would actually impact South Africa. I did say in the last video that I want to talk about infrastructure in South Africa, infrastructure investment. And I did mention the things that constitute infrastructure that I'm going to talk about: water, bridges, roads, waterways, harbors, ports. And the reason why I'm talking about infrastructure in particular is because infrastructure has been seen repeatedly by research that it will add a lot of jobs, and also it will add more than 1% to the GDP. And I did say that if the energy policy actions that I suggested in the three videos that I issued, including with the infrastructure actions that I'm going to suggest in the coming videos, which I think I'm going to be probably three videos, there could potentially be four, that would actually result in a economic growth, a GDP growth of 3%. And that is actually quite good considering where we are in South Africa. And I just want to talk about water infrastructure for now. And because that will probably be the next issue to talk about. And then I'll talk about other things. Okay. So South Africa is having a water infrastructure crisis of note right now. It is bad. It is very bad. Probably the only place that is right now not having a water crisis is Cape Town. And the reason being that Cape Town, after that crisis that we had with the drought in the year of 2017, if I'm not mistaken, has actually taken actions that has turned their water situation around. And they are actually doing very well. And obviously, South African cities and towns are not having a similar levels of crisis. It seems that the crisis is at its worst in KZN, parts of Mpumalanga, parts of Gauteng, and parts of the Northwest. And also, it seems though that every single town in South Africa does not have a functional water infrastructure, with the exception of Cape Town. Let me read some of the things for you here. Durban is currently experiencing a water crisis due to a combination of factors, including high water demand exceeding supply, infrastructure issues, and water losses due to leaks. The eThekwini municipality acknowledges the problem and is implementing a water and sanitation turnaround strategy and working on repairs to address the situation. Causes of the crisis: high demand. The population of Durban is growing, leading to an increased water consumption. Infrastructure issues, leaks in the municipality water distribution system are causing significant water losses. The municipality recorded a 58% loss in water distribution, which is far above the normal 15 to 30% range. Listen, folks, Durban is losing 60% of all its water is lost due to leaks and leakages. And then another problem, aging infrastructure. Existing infrastructure is aging and prone to damage, contributing to leaks and disruptions. We must solve this issue of aging infrastructure. These cities are very old. A lot of these South African cities are at least 100 years old. That would include Durban, Cape Town, Johannesburg. These cities are very old. And so all of the infrastructure is very old. And it should have been replaced at least 40 years ago. And when I say 40 years ago, I mean around the year 1980. That is when the lot of infrastructure of these cities should have been replaced. Also, illegal connections. Illegal water connections contribute significantly to the problem. You can find this stuff online. There are YouTube videos. Some made last year, some made this year. Look, man, it's a problem. And I'm going to share some of these links in the description below. Water crisis in Polokwane. Polokwane is currently experiencing a water crisis with reports of shortage and unreliable supply in various areas, including Seshego, Polokwane Extension, and surrounding villages. While the municipality acknowledges the challenges and is working on solutions, including infrastructure improvements and water tankers, residents continue to face disruptions, causes, infrastructure issues. A cracked water pipe along the R37 road, Church Street, has caused the water supply interruptions in several areas. Load shedding. Power outages have affected water pumping and reservoir levels, contributing to the shortages. High demand and low supply. Hot temperature and increased water usage can strain the water supply, especially when the reservoir levels are low. Sabotage. The municipality has reported instances of intentional sabotage, such as the closure of valves and pipeline blockages hindering water distribution. Impacted areas: Fauna Park, Penina Park, Ivydale, Ivy Park, Extension 34, Seshego, Moruleng, Third House, and the New Town have been specially mentioned as areas where the municipality is working on improving water supply. folks, it is a mess. It is a hot mess. Rustenburg, Northwest. Rustenburg is currently experiencing a severe water crisis due to a combination of factors, including infrastructure issues, water restrictions, ongoing water supply challenges. Residents are facing frequent water shortages, some lasting for extended periods, and are forced to rely on alternative sources of water like river water, which may not be safe for consumption. The causes of this crisis, the Rustenburg local municipality is struggling with aging and poorly maintained water infrastructure, leading to leaks, burst pipes, water meter vandalism, water restrictions. Both Rand Water and Magali's Water have imposed restrictions on water supply to Rustenburg due to low dam levels and high demand. Power outages. Power cuts at Rand Water supply scheme have significantly reduced water supply, causing reservoirs to drop below critical levels. Lack of materials. The municipality has reportedly faced shortages of basic materials needed to repair water infrastructure, further exacerbating the crisis. Inadequate maintenance. Some repairs have been left incomplete for extended periods of time, and newly installed pipelines remain unused. Impact on the residents. I'm not even gonna go into that. It's crazy, folks. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I'm gonna link some of these like stories for you in order for you to know what I'm talking about. Folks, I'm not making this shit up. Now I've covered Durban, I've covered Polokwane, I've covered Rustenburg. So this is three provinces. Now I'm going to the Eastern Cape. Mthatha. Mthatha, thousands struggle daily to get water in Mthatha. This is an article in 2021. But you know that I don't feel any kind of sympathy and empathy for people of the Eastern Cape because they continuously vote for the ANC. So I don't feel anything for these people. They must suffer and they must continue to suffer because they are voting for their own suffering. These people have repeatedly voted for the ANC to the tune of 60 to 80%, between 60 to 80% of electoral support each and every election cycle. So I feel nothing for these people. They must suffer. They must continue to suffer. I don't care if they're eating dirt and they're drinking their own urine and eating their own feces because they want their own suffering. I just want to get that out of my system. And that also includes provinces like Mpumalanga, Limpopo, all of these provinces that continuously vote for the ANC, giving the ANC at least 65% of the support year after year. No, election after election. So I feel nothing for these people. Anyways, Mthatha is currently experiencing severe water crisis marked by frequent and prolonged water outages, particularly in informal settlements. Residents in areas like Joe Slovo Extension have been without bulk water infrastructure for years, resorting to illegal connections or using water from drains for basic needs. The situation is exacerbated by the issues at the Thornhill water treatment works and challenges water distribution issues, lack of infrastructure. Many of the areas in Mthatha, which includes Joe Slovo Extension, lack basic bulk water infrastructure despite being established years ago. This is to say there are a lot of these shacks in Mkuku still don't have any water infrastructure that has been installed for them, even though they've been there for years, some of them for 10 years, 20 years. Illegal connections and outages. Illegal water connections, while common, are unreliable and they are common and they are unreliable. They lead to frequent and lengthy outages. Flooding in January 2025, particularly from the Secura tributary and Mthatha River, damaged the Thorn water treatment works and further disrupted water supply. Pollution from the informal settlement along the Mthatha River has raised concerns about water quality, service delivery protest. Residents have protested against ongoing water shortages, highlighting the impact on their daily lives and the lack of adequate response from the authorities. Corruption, of course, this is Eastern Cape after all. Corruption, including 167 million payment for bulk water supply without work being done, have further fueled the community frustration. Water mafia incidents. There has been reports of a water mafia Mthatha attempting to profit from the crisis by disrupting aid efforts and demanding money for water. But as I said, when it comes to the Eastern Cape, I feel no sympathy for these people. I feel nothing for these people. These people faithfully and repeatedly vote for the ANC. I feel nothing for them. I'm just citing their case to show how bad things Delmas. This is a town that I actually lived in because I was doing some engineering consultancy work there. And when I was there, this is Delmas in Mpumalanga is 1 hour from Johannesburg, 1 hour drive. So I was there because there are a lot of coal mines, and so I was consulting there in a company that was doing materials handling and logistics in Exaro and other neighboring mines. And so what was happening is that every single night the municipality will switch off the water at 8 p.m. They switch off the water at 8 p.m. and then they switch on the water at around 7 in the morning. Every single night without fail. Can you imagine this thing of living in a place where every night you do not have water? That is what was happening. And then over and above this, when I was there, I don't know about now, then they will have these water outages that will go on for days, like 3 days. Sometimes they'll go on for 5 days, where there is just no water at all. Can you imagine this kind? How do you flush your toilet? Because that's the number one issue. How do you flush your toilet and how do you bath? And for me, of course, that wasn't so much of a problem because I could shower at work and I could also use the bathroom at work. So either you drive there, shower in the evening, shower in the morning, use the bathrooms there, so that I don't have to waste the water that I had in the 25 liters for showering, not for showering and for toilet. So I had to just use it for dishes purposes only. But the situation in Delmas, for instance, it is so bad that it is alleged that they are owing Rand Water close to half a billion rands. That's how much they are owing them. And because they are owing Rand Water this amount of money, Rand Water has cut down the amount of water that they are supplying to this town. But not only so, what the municipality has done, because the reason why they are owing Rand Water is because of corruption. They are jacking up the tariffs, the water tariffs. This probably Delmas was probably the area where I paid the highest rate when it comes to water. It was actually quite incredible, the amount of money I was paying for water. Like, you have to buy water from the municipality. I mean, obviously everyone buys water from the municipality, but it's we don't consider it as buying it because you actually get quite a substantial amount of water under normal circumstances when you're paying your water fare. But in Delmas, the rate was so high that it actually had to be rightfully understood as you are actually buying water, like you are buying processed water. It's actually quite incredible and insane. As I said, which is the only place in South Africa that doesn't have this water problem, is Cape Town. It's Cape Town. And I also have family who live in just outside Pietermaritzburg, Howick, which is now governed by the Democratic Alliance. And they've told me about how improved the service delivery have been in terms of refuse collection, sewage treatment, maintaining of the sewage system, and just the entire issue of water around the issue of Howick, which in the past it was so bad that there was feces. You could see feces on the street. That's how bad things were under the Howick that was governed by the African National Congress. So, and that's not just also the issue of the African National Congress. It's also the small towns that are governed by the Inkatha Freedom Party. For instance, my village at home, Tukelafiri or Msinga, I spent a few months there a couple of years back, a couple of months, I don't know, just 3 to 4 months or something. And there was the problems with water. Guys, it was bad. It was bad. What happens there is that they switch on the water for like a day. And so when they switch on the water, you have to have all of these containers, buckets, 25-liter containers, drums, whatever, and or Georgia tanks, and you need to try to, within the period of say 12 hours to 24 hours, to fill up as much of these containers as possible. Because within a matter of a day to 2 days, like under 48 hours, the water will be gone, and it will be gone for at least a month or at least 2 weeks. And that is how people are living there. My family is there. That is how people are living currently right now. It is so bad. This issue of water, inside the water infrastructure in South Africa, it is so bad. And the governing parties are just chowing money. They don't give a damn about anyone. They don't care about anyone. They are just doing whatever they want to do. Johannesburg also is a serious crisis. And Johannesburg in particular has, the issue with Johannesburg is that Johannesburg is the economy of South Africa. So if Johannesburg is the economy of South Africa, it is incumbent upon the government to make sure that that Johannesburg works, that Johannesburg functions. It has to function because it is the heartbeat of the South African economy. But there is a crisis with water in Johannesburg. The Johannesburg water system is in serious crisis. Almost all areas of the city have experienced water outages over the past few years, and some are regularly without water for days, even weeks. Despite the decline in the service quality for water, water tariffs in Johannesburg have gone up, increasing by as much as 200%. This is to say, despite the fact that the people are not getting the water that they are paying for, the tariffs that they are paying for this water have gone up by 200% over the past 10 years, far outstripping inflation. This is insane, folks. Good quality, reliable, affordable, basic service deliveries are unheard of, even though they are critical. The situation has worsened so much that it's people are actually deciding to leave Johannesburg and go to other areas like Pretoria, even though there's a problem with water as well in Pretoria, or moving to other towns like Durban, even though there's a problem there, but it's not as bad as in Johannesburg. And the single most important cause of the water crisis in Johannesburg is the dilapidated and leaking Johannesburg water infrastructure. Johannesburg is like, 150 years old? The infrastructure is fucking old. This not only contributes directly to the service interruption, but it also to rapidly rising cost of water. Non-revenue water losses in the city are around 46%. Guys, do you understand what is going on here? This is to say that for every rand that you pay for water, 46 cents of that goes to water that the city is losing through leaks, and the city is not doing anything about it. That is actually what it means. In Durban, we said that it's around 47, 48%. No, 56% in Durban. For every rand that you pay in Durban for water, 56 cents of that goes to water that is lost through leaks. This is to say, for every 100 rand that you pay for water, 56 rand of that water goes to the ground through leaks. It's lost. This is unsustainable. Absolutely unsustainable. It needs to stop. And all of you motherfuckers are still voting for the ANC. See, all of you motherfuckers who are voting for the ANC, I'm so sick and tired of you, because it is you who are causing this problem. You continuously vote for the ANC, election after election, you are voting for the ANC, you're giving them majorities, veto-proof majorities over 65%. This is your fault. Those leaks in Johannesburg waste up to 400 million liters of water each day, for which Johannesburg Water is paying 6 million rand per day. 6 million rand per day is paid by the city of Johannesburg towards water. Towards water that is lost through leaks. 600 million every day goes to paying for water that is lost. The loss per year is 2.2 billion rand. And they recover it by raising the tariffs. So, and repairing old and broken infrastructure, therefore, is critical to improving services and reducing costs. And here is the problem, or the supposed problem. The Johannesburg Water says that it needs $3 billion each year for the next 10 years to replace and upgrade infrastructure. But they say they don't have this kind of money. Instead, they have managed to budget for only 900 million in the current financial year. What I would say, actually, to this problem is that, okay, before I go to that, the Johannesburg Water CEO Nchaveni Mukwevo painted a grim picture of the city's cramped infrastructure, stretching that urgent action was needed to avert a complete collapse. He said that we are sitting with a backlog of 27 billion for infrastructure upgrading and renewal. This is the amount we need to fix the aging pipes, leaking reservoirs, and deteriorating treatment plants. The backlog is part of a broader crisis facing the city's water system and delays in the maintenance and upgrades, having left the residents in many areas experiencing intermittent water supply, said Mukwevo. He went on further to say that 60% of the water infrastructure in Johannesburg is beyond its design lifespan. Can you imagine? 60% of the entire infrastructure should have already been replaced. Here is what I would say about this entire mess. Before we talk about infrastructure investment that I want to talk about with regards to water, for instance, I would say this. The national government needs to put aside money for Johannesburg, maybe also for Pretoria. The reason being that, in fact, I would even say that the national government might have to put up money for Johannesburg, Pretoria, and Durban, those three cities. That might be, okay, 27 billion for Johannesburg, maybe 10 billion for Durban, maybe 10 billion for Pretoria. How much is that? That is just under 50 billion. I'll say put aside 70 billion rands and spend all of it right now to replace the pipes. Replace the pipes, fix the leaks. Just do it. Don't worry about how are you going to pay for it. Just do it. Just do it. Because infrastructure spending creates jobs and it grows the economy. And over and above the fact that it's going to create jobs and that it's going to grow the economy, it's going to make our cities livable. And if they are livable, then business can happen. And if business can happen, that is what we call it, the multiplier, my friend, the multiplier. So it has to be done. Instead of borrowing money to pay for salaries and to borrow money for social welfare programs, borrow money to do this. I'm going to look into the next video now because of the time. I wasn't able to go through everything I wanted to go through with regards to water infrastructure in terms of what else needs to be done on the supply side for water infrastructure, because I can't go to the issue of the supply side of infrastructure for water when we have not dealt with the issue of this, because if we put, for instance, if I say let's put 100 billion rands on the supply side of water infrastructure, and we haven't fixed these leaks, we haven't replaced this old and aging infrastructure, which needs to carry the water once it's being supplied. That is basically meaning that I mean to say to you, we're going to take off that 100 billion rand that you're going to spend on the supply side, take 50 billion of that and just flush it down the toilet. And that is just unacceptable. So there's nothing that can be done with regards to water infrastructure on the supply side before we replace and fix this old and aging infrastructure. I'll even go as far as to say that the Joburg water infrastructure, almost probably 80% of it needs to be replaced. Maybe 60% of it needs to be replaced now, and 20% of it needs to be replaced in the next 5 years. Just bite the bullet, spend the money, and just do it. And obviously, when I'm saying just do that, these, my friends, are the policies that if I were in government, I would do. I know that even if our national government were for somehow the people who are decision makers were to stumble onto this video, whether at provincial government or at city government or national government, or even if the president would, they are not going to listen to any of this. These people are beyond saving. They can't be helped. So the reason why I'm making these videos mostly is to show my viewers in terms of, for instance, if I were in government myself, what would I do? And this particular instant, I would spend 70 billion to replace. I'll take maybe around, they say 27 billion for Joburg. I'll probably give them around 35 billion rands and just replace the Joburg water infrastructure system. And the constructors, we might have to give notices to certain neighborhoods to say we are going to be working around the clock. And when I say around the clock, I really mean around the clock, because we're having contractors working day and night, because this thing, it can actually be done in a matter of a year to 2 years. And then after that, all of my friends who want to continue to live in, because I mean, people who want to live in South Africa, they don't want to live, then you can live in a city that functions. Yeah, and if this can be 2 years, you appropriate these funds, and I would also say I'm waiving any of this PE bullshit requirements. I'm waiving that. The most important thing here is competence. If you can do the job, because it is such a crisis situation that I have already said that the government has discretion to waive BE requirements for particular projects, and this project is one of those projects where you can actually just waive the BE requirements, and I'll say do it. Yeah, and then we'll look at in the next video in terms of what else on the supply side of water has to happen, which will create jobs and grow the economy. And by the way, a lot of these jobs that we speak of, including the jobs I spoke of in the videos the past 3 videos these are all high-paying jobs. These are not low-skill jobs. These are high-paying jobs. These are jobs that are going to ensure that our skilled workers get to stay in the country. They don't leave. Cheers, folks. See you on the next one.